What if the most famous Egyptian pharaohs weren't Egyptian? For 300 years after Alexander the Great, Egypt was ruled by a Greek dynasty that spoke Greek, built the legendary Library of Alexandria, and yet portrayed themselves as traditional pharaohs. They were the Ptolemies. This is the story of how a foreign family took the throne of the Nile, and how their epic saga of betrayal, incest, and war ended with the most famous queen in history and a Roman conquest. Welcome to beautiful history, where every story is an adventure. From the sands of ancient Egypt to the bustling streets of modern cities, we uncover the mysteries, dramas, and wonders that shaped our world. Explore lost civilizations, epic battles, and legendary figures brought to life with passion and detail. Discover the journey of humanity from Egypt to the world. Subscribe now and let your adventure through time begin. This is beautiful history. By 332 BCE, Egypt had endured decades under Persian rule. The land of the Nile yearned for liberation from their foreign oppressors. Then came Alexander the Great, the Macedonian conqueror who would change Egypt forever.
We come not as conquerors, but as liberators.
The Egyptians welcomed Alexander as their savior from Persian tyranny. Alexander's first move was to visit Memphis, the ancient capital of Egypt. Rather than impose his will, he chose to honor Egyptian traditions.
I come to honor the gods of this sacred land.
Alexander proclaimed himself pharaoh, adopting the ancient symbols of Egyptian kingship.
Here, we shall build a city that will rival all others, Alexandria.
Alexandria would become Alexander's greatest legacy in Egypt. But Alexander's death in 323 BCE left his vast empire fractured among his generals. In Egypt, it was Ptolemy, one of his closest companions, who seized control. Ptolemy crowned himself pharaoh, inaugurating a Greek dynasty that would rule Egypt for 3 centuries. The Ptolemies masterfully blended Greek and Egyptian traditions, adopting ancient pharaonic customs while maintaining their Hellenic identity. They built magnificent temples like those at Edfu and Philae, linking themselves to Egypt's ancient religious traditions. They even created new gods like Serapis, merging Egyptian and Greek deities to unite their diverse subjects. Under Ptolemaic rule, Alexandria became the greatest city in the Mediterranean world. Its legendary library drew the greatest minds of the age, Euclid, Eratosthenes, and countless others. The mighty Pharaohs lighthouse, one of the 7 wonders, symbolized Alexandria's dominance in trade and learning. Yet beneath this prosperity, tensions simmered between the privileged Greek ruling class and the native Egyptian majority. These tensions, among other factors, will accelerate the decline of the Ptolemaic era in Egypt. Nevertheless, the Ptolemaic era marked one of history's most remarkable cultural syntheses, a time when Greek rulers became Egyptian gods and ancient traditions were reborn through foreign eyes.
In the 3rd century BCE, Egypt sat atop the world stage, ruled by the Ptolemaic Dynasty, a Greek line established by one of Alexander the Great's trusted generals. Alexandria flourished, drawing scholars to its famed library and merchants to its bustling port. Far from the pharaohs of old, these new rulers blended Macedonian customs with ancient Egyptian traditions. Yet beneath this cosmopolitan sheen, cracks began to form. Despite adopting the pharaonic mantle, Ptolemaic rulers remained outsiders to many Egyptians. A series of succession crises and internal rivalries undermined their stability. By the mid-2nd century BCE, Egypt's wealth was shrinking. Economic struggles were exacerbated by weakened leadership, disrupted agriculture from climate change, and a widening gap between the elite and common people, which destabilized the nation. The dynasty's decline accelerated with the reign of Ptolemy VIII, known for his cruelty and for embroiling Egypt in civil war. High taxes fell on the native population, breeding resentment and igniting periodic revolts. To hold power, Ptolemaic monarchs invited foreign interventions, notably from Rome. In exchange for support, the Ptolemies ceded more and more autonomy to this rising Western power. By the middle of the 1st century BCE, Cleopatra VII ascended the throne, seeking to restore Egypt's fortunes. In a last bid for independence, I forged legendary alliances with Julius Caesar and later Mark Antony. But Rome's internecine struggles sealed our fate. The rise of Octavian brought confrontation. The decisive events unfolded at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. Our forces were routed by Octavian's fleet. Soon after, both Antony and I took our own lives as Octavian's legions marched into Alexandria. Egypt was annexed, its treasury emptied to fund Rome's empire. Under Roman rule, the traditions of ancient Egypt withered. The Library of Alexandria was burned, a symbol of knowledge lost. The line of pharaohs ended, hieroglyphs faded from use, and native temples fell into neglect. Over time, the ancient priesthood lost its power, and Greek and Roman customs dominated. With Egypt's transformation into a Roman province, the last echoes of the pharaonic tradition faded. The grandeur of ancient Egypt was replaced by a new imperial order, its culture, language, and gods reduced to fragments, awaiting rediscovery beneath the desert sands.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more journeys through time.